Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football and our fourth episode for today. We've got one more after this to come, which is going to be on the Liverpool Leicester game that is going to take place on Sunday. But we've got one more to cover before that, and that is the Manchester United West Brom game, which is our last game tomorrow. And interesting game, exciting game in some respects. It's a tricky fixture for Manchester United, as they all are. If it was any other team that was there next to West Brom, if it was Liverpool, if it was Manchester City, Spurs, Arsenal, what have you, I would say dead on it's a win for that team against West Brom. But with Manchester United, you just don't know what you're gonna get. It could be a win, it could be a really boring, disappointing draw. It could be a really exciting but heartbreaking draw as well, where United lead and then concede a late goal. It could end up being a loss, a narrow defeat or like a complete blowout defeat. Literally, the whole spectrum of results are possible. And it is a tricky fixture because, I mean, first of all, West Brom, they have drawn with Chelsea. They actually scored three early goals and then Chelsea came back and drew 3-3. If West Brom were up 3-0 against United, United would not draw that game. So, it can happen. And then I believe they were also pretty good against Spurs. I watched that game. They're very defensively organized, very, very compact, very, very solid. And we know United don't struggle to break down defenses like that. So as long as they can keep their shape and organization, United are going to have serious problems in breaking them down and getting goals. So it's not necessarily the foregone conclusion that people would probably assume when they see this fixture. And I know the temptation will be there to say, you know what, no, it is a foregone. It should be a foregone conclusion. And people are right. In an ideal world, yes, Man United should beat West Brom, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's what's going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. And it's gonna be an interesting game. That there's no doubt about that. And it's in some ways it's a sort of a no win for Solskjaer because if he wins, people will be like, well, yeah, it's West Brom. You've got to win those games. And if he loses, he's gonna be under some pressure as well. So he's gonna have to be careful about that. But let's talk about the team news quickly. So no Luke Shaw, he was injured against Everton, so he's gonna be out for a while. So he's not gonna be available. Mason Greenwood and Marcus Rashford are doubts, as is Victor Lindelof. So there's possibility that all three of those, or at least one or two of those three, will probably not start the game. I don't think Lindelof being out is a big issue because they probably put in Axel Tuanzebe, and he can do a good job. Luke Shaw being out is also not an issue because Alex Telles is now back after his COVID quarantine. He also tested negative for COVID when he came back. So there was a scare that he actually contracted it again when he was with Brazil. But that thankfully that has not happened. So he's available as well. So he's probably going to start as well. It's a good game actually to make your Premier League debut because you can come in. It's a little bit easier. They're not going to be as offensively enterprising, West Brom, as some of the other teams. So it's a good first step for him. I think not having Mason Greenwood and Marcus Rashford would be an issue because without one of them, it's okay because you can still probably put in Cavani and then play Martial and Marcus on the wings. But if you don't have two of them, then you're basically dipping into either Daniel James or Juan Mata to come in, or potentially Donny van de Beek to play on the right wing. So it's going to be interesting what he does there. I do believe that just with the way things are going, if one or both of them are probably 80%, 90% fit, then they will start. So I think that's the way it will go. I mean, Cavani seems to be doing okay. I'm not sure if Cavani is actually if he's the right player for this. And in fact, you know what? Actually, that's interesting. If Cavani does start, if Telles is starting and Cavani is starting, that's actually not a bad combination because Cavani can score headers from crosses and Telles is a pretty good crosser of the ball. Uh, and having him will give them another target in corners as well because I mean having Maguire as your target man for corners is like it's a little bit of a lottery, isn't it, of what happens. So that it might not be the worst thing in the world if Cavani starts, if Telles is starting. So that would be a good partnership to keep an eye on as well. The thing that unnecessarily creates the pressure though is the fact that the next game is against Istanbul in the Champions League, and that's now become a one must-win game because they lost in the last one. Had they won that game against Istanbul, what would have happened was this would have been an easy game against West Brom, easy in a routine game against West Brom and a routine game against Istanbul. Now that Istanbul game becomes a pressure game because if they lose that one, then they're going to be in trouble in that group when they made such a bright start to their campaign. So they need to win that game, and so that game now takes priority. and this game therefore becomes secondary. But then the issue is that you still need like league points because they're so far behind everybody else in mid-table, so they need points as well. So that's where the issue is going to be created. But I mean, I don't think you need to. I mean, in terms of teams, I don't think he needs to start with both Fred and McTominay. I do not. I think he needs to rest. It doesn't. You don't need two defensive midfielders against West Brom. So he might rest one of them and bring in Donny van de Beek or Paul Pogba. My money is probably that Paul Pogba will start, and it will either be. It could be even Matic and Pogba starting. I think if Pogba plays, I think Matic is probably the best bet to start with those players, because really, if you're going to start Paul Pogba, you then have to start either McTominay or Matic. You can't start Fred because Fred cannot do the role that needs to be done. It has to be one of those two. And so you limit yourself. And I think McTominay is not at that level yet where he can sort of guide things. I think Matic and Pogba probably work best if you're going to start Pogba. And that's my issue with starting Paul Pogba in games, is now it honestly feels like the team is starting to be, it has to be recalibrated just to fit him in there. It basically imbalances a lot of things in the side. That being said, if you talk about wing issues, I mean, we could very well see Pogba playing on the left as a winger, and particularly if Mason and Marcus are out, then that might be an option to play him there and play Martial and Cavani as well. So there are options there. The thing is, there's so many different combinations and things that we just don't know. It's hard, difficult to predict what's going to happen. But I do believe that both Fred and McTominay will not start. I think only one of them will start this next game, and then it depends on what the combinations are going to be around them. Whether it's going to be Pogba and Matic, whether it's going to be Pogba playing on the wings, and then you have Fred and Matic, or Fred and Donny, or McTominay and Donny. That will be interesting to see. But I think a lot of people are wondering if Donny will start. I think he will start this game, not because he's convinced Oli of his worth. I'm not saying that, though. I don't think there should be any doubts that he's a very good player. I think the reason is because he's got to rotate his squad, and with Istanbul being the more priority fixture at this point, I think I think he probably will start Donny in this game against West Brom. That's probably what he will do. But again, he might just say, you know what, I need to get game time for Pogba, so we're not going to play Donny for either of those two games. But we shall see. We shall see what happens. It's a bit weird, isn't it? I mean, what does Donny van de Beek really have to do? As I said in the last game, what does he have to do to get a start? But we shall see how that goes. I think it's going to be interesting as well. So for me, the player to watch though will be Anthony Martial. He's had a really, really poor start to this season. He's not been at the races for a long time. He's scored a goal against Istanbul, scored a penalty against Leipzig, but otherwise has looked pretty average, pretty ordinary. And Cavani, the one thing is that Cavani only scored a goal in one game against Everton. And so, you don't want to jump to conclusions. But I think what will happen now is that questions will be asked. If Martial was in great form, I didn't think there would be any doubt that he should be starting. The issue is because he has slowed down a little bit, and because Cavani seems to be having attributes that might help them in certain games, he might start to edge. The thing is, you don't want to have that conversation either or. You don't want that. If you're Martial, you don't want that conversation. You basically want to say, I'm the starter. I'm the guy who's going to play. If I have to be rested or if I'm not available, that's when Cavani comes in the picture. Once you start thinking whether should it be Martial, should it be Cavani, I think then it's a problem. And we shouldn't be having that conversation, to be honest. We really shouldn't. Martial should be way ahead of Cavani at this point in 2020. But such is the issues that Martial has had with consistency throughout his career. I mean, as well as Man United career, this has been a recurring issue. So I think that it will be an important game for him to prove that he is the better striker. He is the number one striker. He is the better player. And how he plays against West Brom will be important, because the one thing about Martial that really worries me is the fact that he's not clinical enough. He doesn't create enough chances that a striker should. And I know people say strikers should finish off chances, but there's no law that strikers can't create chances. Kane does that, so he can do it. So he should be able to do it, but he doesn't create a lot of chances, and he doesn't finish chances. I mean, he needs 2 or 3 chances to score one. He's not clinical enough for a top striker, and that's a big issue, particularly for a team like United who don't create as many chances. If you don't take those chances, then it's a problem. And this is Marcus Rashford as well, by the way. Marcus Rashford has this issue as well, where he will miss a lot of easy chances and score the difficult goals. So that's something that they need to work on. But I mean, it's worth keeping an eye on. But I think Martial should start against West Brom. I don't think there should be any changes there. But if he doesn't play well, and there might be changes for Istanbul. So that's the luxury that United have at the moment. but we should keep an eye on that as well. That we want to keep an eye on. There was interesting conversation about five substitutes as well from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference reaction. We spoke about it, and we will speak about it actually with Pushkar as well about having the five subs. And I mean, again, it's a decision where the Premier League probably didn't realize the long term impact of what they were doing. It was about thinking, short term, thinking in that bubble, pardon the pun, but it was more about thinking about what they're doing there. So I mean, that Solskjaer spoke about it. And I think they will see these calls growing louder and louder from the big teams now about wanting to have five subs. But anyway, we'll get to that when we do. I mean, it's difficult for me to predict a score. I'm not going to predict a score. I'm not going to predict a result as well because I just can't predict it. I mean, I don't want. I said this before. I'm never backing Man United for a win this season. Again, this season, I'm not going to back them for a win for any game this season, unless it's a game against a team that has probably got like five or six first team players out injured, and they have, and not just first team players, but relying on like five or six academy players that they have to bring in. Maybe then I might think, they have a chance. Though United will probably bottle that up as well. But no, but I'm not. But I'm not gonna. But yeah, but I mean, it's difficult for me to back them, seeing the way that they perform. Is so inconsistent. So I'm just gonna. I'm not gonna make a prediction, but let me know what you think. What do you think would be the score in this game? What do you think is gonna be the? Let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to look through those. I mean, that might be something we can do. But that concludes my preview for the Man United West Brom game. Let me know what you think about the game and what you think about what lineup Solskjaer should go with tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting game. And we'll be here with the match reactions. Of course, after the game, we'll be doing that. So stay tuned for that. And on that note, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you're watching this on YouTube, because we wanna grow the channel. We wanna get to 120 subscribers, as I said, by the end of the week. But also because we're doing so many videos, you'll be able to get notifications as well on as they land. But we've got one more to come today. That's Liverpool Leicester preview with Pushkar. Pushkar is going to be joining us for that one. That'll be our last one for today. So thank you for bearing with me. And this is something new that we are trying. We normally do them like as a 1.5 hour, 1 hour long preview show that we've done. We thought let's change it up a little bit, and let's do it like sort of in bits and pieces. Let's see how that goes. So let me know what you thought about this format. Do you think that it's better to do them all at once, or do you like this format of having them sort of broken up? I'm not in pieces. I'm not saying that we can do it every week, because there are other considerations as well. But we'll try to do them as much as we can, or people like it. We can explore options of how we can do that. So let me know what you think about it. But thank you so much for watching. There's one more video to come, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be in about another couple of hours. We're going to do that, and then of course we'll be here with the match reactions starting tomorrow. But enjoy your day or night, whatever time you're watching this, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.